All right. Good morning. Welcome to the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners work session, May 12th, 2021. Accessible via Zoom or in person. This is what I would call our first hybrid meeting, which means accessibility via Zoom and or in person. So first up, we've got EDC appointments. It's got my name behind it. Did everyone receive, let me see if I got it here. I do. There's two applications. One of them we talked about at the last meeting, which is Wendy Engel. And then in the meantime, we had an application come in from Sean Petrie from CORE. And CORE, Sean, I think all you gentlemen know him correctly. Am I correct?
Yeah, he introduced himself
Okay.
last year, I believe.
All right. So anyway, he'd expressed an interest for last year. And one of the reasons he didn't join EDC last year was because at that particular time, they were working on their millage, which they were successful in getting passed. So he has come back. So he's kind of been on hold since then. So I would just wanted to bring his application forward, and since everybody knows him, I would like to move him forward. And I know it's not per our policy, but since we're already approving Wendy, I'd like to also put John Petrie on for a motion today also at the next meeting. So, you know, I know it's outside of what we usually do. We usually present it now and then 2 weeks from there. Is anybody opposed to that, please?
I think, Mr. Chairman, it's appropriate because Mr. Petrie has not only been in economic development meetings, he's also been in front of the board. So I think all commissioners are aware of his skill set. I think it was appropriate that we move forward, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to say on that?
I agree.
You agree, Ken?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, everybody's on board. All right. Number 2, EDC Corporation Burst Committee. Put this on there because it was pertinent. Our last meeting of EDC was held on the 29th of April via Zoom. And if I'm looking correctly at the screen up here, Brenda, are you on there? That's just not showing. Okay.
I am.
Okay, thank you. I was just going to say Brenda was at that meeting. So Brenda, if I get something wrong or get off on the wrong road, please straighten me out, okay?
Sure thing.
But anyway, we had our last meeting of the EDC board, and we've been doing some research as a committee or a corporation, whatever you want, trying to figure out what is it best to be a corporation or be a committee? Now, as far as the Board of Commissioners are concerned, and I believe Mr. Milburn was in agreement with me this, we considered that board to be a committee.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, so they've been doing the research and I've been helping them, and I know Mark's been helping them also, trying to figure out which is the best way to go. And as it turns out, it looks like being a corporation would be the best thing for the county. But that corporation was formed back in 1974. The paperwork was filed with the state. It is still active paperwork. So as far as in the state's eyes, it is a corporation. So they voted to bring it to the Board of Commissioners that they become a corporation. Being a corporation, there'll be a lot more grants that they can get and it just seems to be a better fit, and it's just a natural thing. There may be some paperwork that may have to be dusted off and upgraded, but we can do that. But as far as the state is concerned, we're still a corporation. So they would like to be considered as a corporation. Now with that, there's some responsibility there, and I'm hopefully we got that explained to them is that at this point, as far as budget is concerned, as the Board of Commissioners in the budget, Jody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we allocate $44,000 a year towards economic development. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's their budget for the whole year. I did make it perfectly clear to that committee that next year, 2022 budget, the county would still only be able to allocate the $44,000. There isn't going to be any extra money. Okay.
Sure.
And they understood that. One of the things that come out of the committee is that they would like to have a full-time economic director that's just has Roscommon County in mind. And I'm not opposed to that, but the problem you've got is that you're looking at probably $100,000 to $150,000 a year to employ that person. Okay, well, we can only give them 44,000, so basically they got to come up with almost a little over $100,000, and they would have to raise that money themselves. They do have to have some liability insurance because they are a separate entity, but that's kind of inexpensive, probably $1,500 to $2,000, but that's in their budget now. So consequently, personally, I've been out there trying and digging around, seeing if we can find some money that can be brought in that will supplement their budget, but not come out of the county budget. Because it's going to be really tight next year.
Sir.
So hopefully the committee is digging into it. Now, Tim and I, as late as yesterday, we did have a breakfast meeting with some people in regards to doing some investigating as far as hiring somebody. Yeah, we can hire somebody, but we got to find the money. Right, Tim?
Yeah, I had a economic or MCOG meeting on Friday, and they were talking about this American Rescue Plan or whatever it is it's called. And they got all this money, and they said that to be careful how you spend it, but they didn't have any stipulations as to how to spend it. He was saying that hopefully the middle of the week, they were going to get some direction as to what the money can be spent on. And possibly we may be able to use some of this money to direct that way to help their situation. We don't know yet. I don't think nobody knows yet.
Right.
So it's just a wait and see type deal.
And yesterday afternoon from Brenda, I got an email from Brenda, and it's from Brenda. Where was this information you forwarded me from? CEDAM?
Yes, CEDAM. It's an organization
CEDAM.
that I belong to, so I've been trying to share any information that I receive that may be beneficial to the Board of Commissioners as you look at opportunities to utilize the American Rescue Act funding.
Okay. So anyway, in their email, I made a copy of it here, but this is a guide that clarifies which entities are responsible for applying for grant funds when funding expires and what role city and county leadership can play, even if they aren't primary applicant for funds. Funds for community economic development include formula grants for cities and counties, which is housing and utility assistance. Formula grants for 2 states and territories, which this is child and family relief, education and workforce, housing and utility assistance. That's the second time that's been mentioned. Hunger relief and infrastructure. And thirdly was competitive funds, economic and small business development, hunger relief, and technology modernization. So as I look at this list, I don't think this is in concrete though, is it, Brenda?
No, we're still waiting on guidance on how those funds can be allocated. So I'm just really sharing information from any source that I receive it from.
Right. So when it comes to the economic development, the one that I'm really interested is the last one, economic and small business development. So this, Tim referred to this CARES money, which is 2 years, $4.7 million. We still don't know what we can use it on. For sure. A little bit more direction, but we're not 100% sure. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to direct some of that money, at least for 2 years out of that money, towards economic development, because I feel this county needs it.
If I could, Mr. Chair, yeah, being a corporation provides more benefits and opportunities for our businesses and citizens, and we have the right leadership. We're poised right now at this point, at this juncture, to move forward to put this into corporation. We have the right leadership in place, and that's very, very important.
So, just try, and some of the information I've been gleaning. So Ken, what's your thoughts on this? I'd like to have the discussion, everybody here.
Well, there's no doubt we need stronger economic development program.
Okay, David, anything?
We need to move forward to this in gaining our county. I'm not saying we're behind, but we need to stay on top of it and move forward in Roscommon County.
Well, let's call it the way it is. Yeah, we're behind.
Right, but we need to move forward.
Yeah. So, right. So I think it's an opportunity for us to move the economic development forward and see what happens. Even if we were able to take some of this money for those 2 years and put it in there, Economic Development Corporation has to understand that after those 2 years, they've got to come up with that difference in money, because I don't anticipate the county being able to put any more money into it because of the way our budgets are. So that's just for discussion. Just wanted to share that with everybody. Anybody else have any questions in regards to that? Yep.
Well, if they do get a director, that would be like you said, a full-time job, and they can focus more on getting funding, advertising, basically instead of a part-time job, part-time job doing this and part-time doing something else. This is going to be their main job to get this thing going, try and stimulate our business growth.
Right. So Tim and I met with one entity yesterday. We've got another entity that we're going to meeting with in the near future here also. I did ask Tim to sit on it because he sits on the board of the Eastern Michigan Council of Governments. He was there last Friday and had their meeting, and he did bring some information. Matter of fact, he's got some other information he'll share in his committee report in regards to that. But when we first started looking at this, we've got the Eastern Michigan MCOG, we've got the Northern Michigan MCOG, and we had the Otsego Alliance, which we got a lot of money from that alliance. As it turned out, it took me about 3 months to understand it, but this alliance in Gaylord was just a fiduciary to give us some of this money that was allocated to us, and we got that. So then you get back to the governor. Governor Snyder set it up that we'd have these prosperity regions, and they stuck us in this Northern Michigan MCOG, when actually for years we've been in the Eastern Michigan MCOG. So we had one, and we still do, we have 1 foot in one and 1 foot in the other. Well, it really hasn't been working for us. And in my investigation, it looks like that we should probably be, the corporation, now that we got that straightened out, should be with the Eastern Michigan MCOG. Seems to be the strongest one. So that's what we'll advocate. We may end up having to go to the governor's office to get this thing straightened out, because it was done under Governor Snyder, and it may have to go to Governor Whitmer to see if we can get put where we're supposed to be. But Brenda, if I'm not mistaken, we're one of 6 counties that are in that same situation.
We're one of
Ogama.
3 counties, Bob. Roscommon, Ogama, and Iosco County.
Okay, we're one of 3 counties that affects, so we may have to, I think it's just a matter of just getting the blessing of the governor's office and be able to do it, right?
Oh, I think it's much more than that. Because
Okay, that's what I was afraid you were gonna say that.
yeah, the COGs are a federal designation, and
Right.
the regional prosperities are state. So yes, you pay membership to MCOG, and they are our federal planners, but the funding that we received, the administrative funding, were for the grants, for the small business survival grants and the restart grants. Though they were the lead economic development organization in Northern Michigan that took on that fiduciary responsibility, we wouldn't have received any money from Regional Prosperity 5, which is where MCOG is. That money, the state money, came through Region 3, which is NEMCOG, and Otsego County Economic Alliance stepped up to take the lead on the
Right.
fiduciary proportion.
Well, anyway, I don't expect you guys to understand all of that, because it took me about 3 months to understand it, and I'm not even sure I do now. But I think I do. So I'll keep you posted on what's happening. Got I felt it was pertinent with this money coming that we talk about corporation via committee and what our opportunities are going to be right here, rather than talking about it under committee report. So anybody else have anything they want to add to that?
And I think you just mentioned a very good point, Mr. Chair. The reason being is we have to be ready, and we have to be ready to spend this money appropriately and wisely. We shouldn't get the money and then decide how to spend it. The planning process is very, very important for not only for us as a board, but for the citizens of the county to know where the money's going to go. So it's great that we're talking about it. It's good that we get input from businesses and citizens on how to spend this money.
Okay. Yes.
Maybe just a question for Brenda, or just to bring it up, you know, not only do we need businesses and economic development, but our workforce in Roscommon County, we have one of the highest rates of people that are permanently disabled that don't have to work as part of our population. And then, you know, if it wasn't for this computer chip problem that's slowing down production, our biggest factory here at Higgins Township was busing in nearly 100 people every day to work, to be able to have enough workers to produce the product there. And every place I go, it's in the county, I see signs now hiring, or I hear complaints that the places are closed 1 or 2 days a week because they don't have people to stay open. So I think we have what do you think we can do about our workforce labor problem, Brenda?
Yeah, we definitely we faced this challenge prior to the pandemic with having a strong workforce. So it's going to be very difficult to attract businesses to our community when we don't have a strong workforce in place. But with that comes the housing issue, the daycare issue. There's just a lot of planning that needs to happen in economic development and able to push forward and push Roscommon County forward. That's why we've had discussions about doing some strategic planning for the EDC on prioritizing our goals. I agree with you, Ken. It is a situation right now, and unfortunately, until the restrictions are lifted and we get folks back into our pipeline, because there are a lot of folks out there that are eligible and able to work. However, they're not in the workforce system at this time. We have done a soft opening here at Michigan Works with the hopes of getting a pipeline of people back in the Michigan Works so that we can connect them with some of our employers. But it is definitely a major challenge, especially when, like you said, our largest employer is busing in temporary workers.
Well, another piece of workers is child care and family relief.
Right. That's what Brenda said that too.
You know, so, you know,
We have to develop multiple prongs of this approach, not just, we don't just need more employers and quality jobs. We got to have people to fill it, or they're not going to come.
but you know, we've got, you know, housing is a big one. I mean, they're all listed on here. Housing is a big one, which actually goes with childcare. You know, education and workforce, well, that all goes together with what you're talking about, you know. So, I mean, basically what we're looking at is we're looking at our public schools. What can we do to help our public schools? You know, utility assistance right now, I don't know where people are getting that assistance. I think they are getting some of it through St. Vincent de Paul, am I correct? And 211, doesn't 211 address that also?
They tell you where to go.
Okay.
But the biggest thing is, you know, we have so many people, I would like to see the rate in Roscommon County that's on unemployment. You know, once the governor shuts that off, they're gonna have to go back to work.
And one of the things, you know, it's on here is infrastructure. And when I think of infrastructure, I'm looking at the county building, and I'm looking at law enforcement, and I'm looking at primarily, right or wrong here, guys, and the undersheriff's on here, so he can jump in here if he wants to, but that jail is the oldest part of this building, am I correct?
They did an addition that's modern, but part of it is very old, yes.
Right, so I mean, when you talk about infrastructure, are there things that we're going to need to consider that's going to have to be done for the safety of our corrections officer and our law enforcement officers over on that side, because, you know, I mean, it's a secure area that, but I think it needs to be looked at. Am I correct, Under Sheriff?
So there's a lot that's happened, updating things over there over the last few years. Money's been found for new camera systems and things like that. But just like any other building that is that age, I mean, the oldest part of the jail is very old. There's going to be issues that arise and maintenance concerns as we go on, for sure. I mean, there's just no way around that when you have a building that's that age.
Right, and so, and you know, and at the same time, I know Jody and I have had this discussion. I don't think I've talked to anybody individually, but when you parked your car over there at that parking lot today, do you see how bad it is?
Mhm.
So that's something that we may need to see if we can funnel some money into and get that corrected. I don't know, Jody, did you have any other things off the list? I know you've been talking to people.
No, not yet.
Not yet?
Until somebody actually puts money in the bank, I don't get all excited about spending it.
I was coming to that. When do you expect to see the money?
You'll have to wait till my update, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so I don't want to take away your thunder. Okay. All right, so then you get down to competitive funds, which is economic and small business development. And then they also have technology modernization. I look at technology modernization, I look at the county, and I'm looking at our internet. Bill might be able to fill us in on that, but are we right on the cutting edge, or do we have areas out there that are lacking?
As far as the county is concerned, overall, we're doing pretty well. I believe Frontier has been doing a big job of trying to wire up the county for fiber connections. There's other companies pending for more fiber connections throughout the county, but that's years away. In the remote regions of the county, that's where the biggest problem comes in, because it's extremely uneconomically worthwhile to spend $20,000 a mile on 1 mile of fiber for 1 or 2 families. So that's why people that are out there in the nether regions don't have a lot of access to it. The cell service is continuing to improve, so that helps, you know, with a 4G or even maybe now a 5G router. Some new satellite services that are going on are going to be a help, so that people anywhere on the face of the planet can get good internet service. So it's all looking up. We're just not there yet. So yeah, there's some good things on the horizon, but there's a lot of things that can be done still.
Okay, well, these remote areas, I'm thinking it's probably Ken and myself, right? Go ahead, Ken. I don't know about the other 3.
I know Danielle down in the court system, we've been talking back and forth quite a bit. She's got a couple of kids. She lives close to where I do in a remote area, and with those kids in school and doing virtual learning, she I think had, I won't get into how much she had to pay an exorbitant amount of money just for 1 month's internet service just to keep her kids in virtual learning. Bill, did you watch last month's or the last meeting, that presentation by that fiber optic company?
Yeah, Chairland Connection. Yes, I watched that, and like I said, they're one of them that they have plans and want to take some of the federal grant monies available for infrastructure to expand fiber connections throughout the county. But there again, their plan right now, I don't even think is even get started on planning the process until for 2 more years. And then it's going to take up to 4 or 5 years to build out that thing.
I know Bob suggested they go to the townships also, but it sounded like they've already been to a couple of townships and they were already in the townships working.
Well, I suggested at the meeting that they get out to the townships. But here's the problem. Phil referred to Frontier. Well, the problem with Frontier is that they're not in every part of this county.
Not yet.
And then this, what was the other one we had the presentation on?
Yeah.
Cherryland. I remember their presentation, right? Because it was the first time we'd heard about it. They're not looking at the whole thing. I don't know if they've got an overall plan to do the whole county, but
Their plan included many of the underserved areas in phases.
Mhm.
But like I said, it could still be another 5 or 6 years.
But when I,
There again, it doesn't indicate if they're going to run it to every single line, telephone line or power pole, so that every single house in the county can get it. That much we don't know.
Right.
I've been around in northern Michigan providing some kind of service for a very long time. I've known this group and their founders ever since I've been around here. But we just don't know the final details of what their plan is going to be.
Right. So, so I'll just look at my situation where I live. I thank the county and Jody and yourself for getting FirstNet in there, because with FirstNet, I can now get internet at my house. But what's the cost of that a month? If I wanted to buy that in myself, if I wasn't a commissioner and I wanted to keep that up, how much is that going to cost me? Just off the top of your head, Phil.
$150 a month for the cell phone and the.
Probably in the neighborhood of
150 a month. Well, right there sums it up. So,
and like I said, some of the new low Earth orbit satellite constellations that provide internet service are a very good option also.
And they're actually pretty cost effective.
Yeah,
There's a cost for the initial equipment.
it's $500 for the initial equipment for the one company, and then $100 a month for the service. But the service is very, from what I understand, very reliable and very competitive.
Yeah, so we actually have an employee who, oddly enough, lives right on your way to the 75 off ramp as you're heading out of town. So not an area you would think of not having charter, but they don't have capabilities for charter internet, and is in line for that, and is pretty excited to see that. And that will actually come sooner than connectivity issues. So.
but Ken, you're right. We need to, I would hope that this cherry line gets out there and presents it to these townships, because maybe together with 11 townships plus the village plus the county, maybe we can get with one person and one company and solve this internet problem countywide. Well, that would be something to consider, but we'll see what happens. And then the last part is the economic and small business development. Now that particular place there, I'm going to be real interested to see what can be done there, because that's where I think this Economic Development Corporation comes in. Am I correct? So, all right. Anybody else got anything they want to add to that discussion, please?
One quick thing, Mr. Chair, piggybacking off your comment in regard to the sheriff's department and the parking lot. I'd like to see, you got to realize that sheriff's department and jail is running 24 hours a day. So I'm hoping we would like a strong look and because anything we can do for the jail is a capital investment. And I think it's really, really important for us to look at that very hard and try to do whatever we can to infuse some of that money into the sheriff's department, especially for the jail. We mentioned the parking lot. Jody and I have been talking about the parking lot. It's difficult for anybody to get behind a parking lot. It's not really a fun topic. The bottom line is, if we don't do something with that parking lot, somebody is going to trip and fall. And the bottom line is, it's imperative that we look at that, get that thing fixed. Maybe not this year, but very, very soon.
Well, we've got a new director of maintenance that'll be on full time starting June 1st. So I think that's something that we probably need to sit down with him at, not only look at that parking lot or look at the jail. I think we need to look at the overall facility, our parking lots around here. We need to look at that. I'd also like to not just to funnel all the money to the jail, because we can't do that. But I think personally, I kind of like to get all the elected officials together in one room, whether we use a small conference room or something. But we got the clerk's office that we need to look at, and of course we did just last meeting an upgrade on some technology for you, right?
Yeah, they're actually in there scanning books this week. If you want to stop down and check out the whole process, it's pretty cool.
So when we look at, I'm looking at elected people, but I'm looking at the clerk, I'm looking at the treasurer's office, I'm looking at the prosecutor's office, I'm looking at the sheriff's department and the jail. That's one entity. But I think we need to identify how much money we can designate. The one thing that I have been doing some research with is that one of the things that we don't want to do is let's make sure we spend all this money. I don't want to send any of it back. All right? Because personally, I don't think the Biden administration cares if they get the money back or not, but I care whether we get all of it. So I think that should be our goal, to ensure that we get all that money. So more things coming. I think Jody will touch on it some more in her report, and we'll kind of go from there. Anybody else got anything to add? Okay, item number 3, hazardous migration plan update. And Michael didn't show up this morning. Are you out there, Michael, on Zoom?
I am. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, okay, never mind. That'll work. You can do our hybrid. We can hear you. Try to speak up a little bit more if you can.
Sure. Okay.
Okay,
so-
I give him 10 minutes, so go ahead, Mike.
All right. So give you a quick overview. In 2016, we approved the hazard mitigation plan. And the basic idea of this plan is for the community to identify, I'm sorry, I'm getting a message here that nobody can hear me.
Nope, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
The computer world.
Okay. So basically this plan is to identify natural hazards in our community and things we can do to mitigate them so that we can make them less impactful or prevent altogether. Obviously, you can't completely prevent natural hazards. So what we identified in 2016 were 14 action items. There were 5 high priority and 9 medium priority. And in this plan, every 5 years, it requires an update to be sent in to FEMA. And what we have, the reason for this plan also is it makes us eligible to receive grant funding for pre-disaster hazard mitigation projects. So while this has nothing to do with disasters or like the funding we have right now because of COVID, this plan is for money ahead of time to prepare when funding becomes available. The last couple of years, most of that money has been funneled into flooding in Michigan, which was not part of a big priority of our plan, just due to the lack of flooding we have in Roscommon County. So where we're at now is after meetings with LEPC, coming up with the plans, the action items that we need to replace because they've either been completed or are no longer valid. That needs to be sent on to the state for review. Then it'll go to FEMA for review. And once that happens, we'll need the Board of Commissioners to put a motion on to adopt the resolution to accept it, the update. And then after that, it'll go to the townships for them to do as well so that they would be eligible for that funding. I'll go briefly over a list of items we've completed or are ongoing, and then I'll also give you a quick update on new items that were added to the plan. Our first item that we had on our list of a high priority in 2016 was to upgrade our notification system to Code Red. That has been complete and is working great. That was completed in 2018. We still are obviously using that today. We had one item that was on the high priority list, which was warning sirens. That has moved down to a medium priority this time, mainly due to lack of funding that's been made available and the fact that we're also using Code Red as a mass notification. Complete the community wildfire protection plan was one of our high priority items that has been completed back in 2016. And some others that are going to be ongoing, promoting the need for disaster awareness and emergency planning, encouraging inclusion of hazard mitigation into other planning documents. This is the one that needs to go to our townships. They were sent surveys for hazard identification, hazard analysis, all completed. And then once they adopt this plan, they're eligible to apply for grant funding as well. Another was purchase of generators for Sirens, municipal buildings, other critical infrastructure. That is ongoing, but we have made purchases. The EOC, Juvenile Detention Center, Sheriff's Office, and Jail have received generator upgrades. Another is constructing safe zones at campgrounds and mobile home parks. Due to this being on the plan last time, the South State Park was able to receive a grant to upgrade one of their bathrooms there into a shelter. Let's see, we have educating the public on dangers of and hazards to be prepared for them. That's ongoing public education through outreach events, social media posts, etc. Plant living snow fences along designated roadways. This is the road commission. This is ongoing. They have tried planting snow fences a couple times in the last few years, and they did not survive the winter. But they are going to continue evaluating the types of trees to see what they can get to survive through the winter. That's still going to be continued though. And then another that is ongoing, and we do this all the time, is promoting the need for emergency evacuation plans for events, schools, government agencies, large employers, and businesses. And then new items that we've proposed for 2021 is to develop a program for the recruitment of fire and EMS personnel. We have a very severe shortage in that department for similar to the employment issue we have. It's difficult for fire and EMS to get personnel. Another is to maintain and implement the community wildfire protection plan that was passed in 2016. And then continuing training for all first responders and expanding our network of amateur radio operators in the county to assist notification of hazardous events. And this week, this plan will be sent to the Richfield, Lyon Township Libraries, the Roscommon Public Library, the Houghton Lake Library. We have a copy available in the county building, as well as posting it on the county website for a period of at least 30 days for the public to review and comment. Once that 30 days has passed, the plan will be sent on to the state for review. The state reviewer will then either submit it to FEMA or kick it back with things that they think FEMA is looking for us to add or slightly modify. And then once FEMA comes back with the approval, we'll come back to the board to, this probably is going to be a few months before they get through with it, but to get it approved for, have a motion to adopt it. And that would be it, unless anybody has any questions. I'd be happy to answer any.
Okay, so this is basically just an update, and you have to go through the hoops to get this thing approved and put it out there for the public, and then at some later date, possibly in June, July, you'll be coming to us and ask us to vote on it to submit this, correct?
Not quite that soon. It'll be put up for public this week, so I can't even send it into the state until it's been available to the public for 30 days. So we're talking,
Right.
It'll go them to the state. Right now, the state has been backed up, as well as FEMA. The time it's taking for these plans to get reviewed is slower than usual. So I expect it to be probably 2 or 3 months. It might be more closer to August, September by that time.
Okay.
But it's completely out of our control at that point. We're just waiting for their review process. But
Okay.
I'll come to you a couple weeks ahead of time once I get the approval to have it put on the agenda.
Right. Anybody got any questions for Mr. Beatty?
Sounds like a long process, a lot like the solid waste.
Yep. Well, yeah, you're right there, Tim.
No doubt.
Okay, on to number 4. That come in, what, Thursday afternoon? I guess there was a meeting at the airport
Yes, sir.
last week, Thursday at 10 o'clock. If I'm not mistaken, I don't see his name up there, but there's Eric Jarosh, our airport manager.
Eric Jarosh is on, as far as I know, Mr. Chair. I'll be short and impactful.
Okay, well, before you start, I did not talk to Eric, but you got 5 minutes,
Oh.
okay?
I don't even need Eric.
Starting now.
So you have 10 minutes and I'll have 1. Okay.
No, you both have 5.
Sorry, Mr. Jarosh. Yeah, Keith Newell was hired by the airport committee. He's an exceptional credentials, exceptional. $1,000. What we're going to do is request EOC, Board of Commissioners, approve an additional allotment, and I'll turn it over with your permission, Mr. Chair, to our county controller to give the details to Mr. Jarosh. Thank you.
So the position itself is not a new position, so it doesn't need to go through personnel. It's just a position that has not been filled by the airport manager for the last several years. As you may remember, and this was BT before Tim, that we did have a assistant director. They were, it was an as needed, but it's really great to have that fill in and to have that person just in case, you know. So where we are at is it has not been in the budget for the last several years. It is not in the 2021 budget for the airport. So in order to actually fill this position, the airport committee has passed a motion to request to the Board of Commissioners for an additional appropriation of $5,000 to the 2021 budget. So that would be a motion for the next meeting. If you have any questions, we're right here.
And Mr. Jarosz is also on the line, Mr. Chair, if you have any questions.
Does Mr. Jarosz have anything to add? In 2 minutes.
Yeah, just, you know, just as some history, we've had 2 assistant airport managers, and really it's for the health of the airport and for the future of the airport to have someone in place in that position, you know, just in case something were to happen to me or whatever, there would be a kind of a seamless transition, you know. So I'm really looking out for the overall health of the airport and looking into the future. And that's kind of my reasoning. Again, we've had 2 assistant airport managers in the past, so it's just a prudent thing to do for the airport, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. I guess this is for Keith, right? I believe, because
Yes.
I think I've got your resume here, but it doesn't have your name on it, but I believe it's yours and it's really impressive.
Again, exceptional credentials.
Right. So Keith, I don't know personally, I've met you. It doesn't make it, you know, I'm looking forward to that, but that's a very impressive resume. Is there anything that you could add on that resume that maybe I didn't see?
No, I've been helping Eric with various tasks and duties, and had some experience with the airport committee working on the runway 36 obstruction thing. So it's a very good group to work with. Eric is an outstanding airport manager, and I've really appreciated being able to help him out with some of the things going on at the airport, and I look forward to the future of the airport.
Okay. And you are a private pilot?
Yes, I am.
And do you have a hangar at the airport?
No, I don't. I don't have an aircraft at this time.
Okay, all right. Now, I just wondered, it was on your resume, so. All right. My only question was to be our controller. Where's the money coming from again?
The general fund will have to offer an additional, we'll have to approve an additional $5,000 appropriation.
We lost the audio to the commissioner's room.
Inc. There's a suspense there. And we need to consider going with laptops in our meetings.
Okay, well,
Michelle, actually, I just whispered to her, did you talk to Commissioner Russo before the meeting? Actually
Oh.
texted me. No, I'm just.
is that what you had your hand up for, Michelle?
I know
Okay.
she didn't. But she actually sent me a message yesterday and has found some, and is looking at some other options, but what I would call a simple way,
Cost-effective solution.
cost-effective solution as well that could get us to that. And even Commissioner Milburn could scroll through without the assistance of his son.
I need my son here to help me. Dave.
Oh. It's not that bad, Mark, once you learn.
The only thing that I see that could pose a problem, and I know this has been discussed at the state at different levels, is be careful that the computers aren't linked so people can message back and forth, because it's important for transparency issues. I know that we would handle that, but it's very important for transparency issues that we have some kind of connection going back and forth, because I think that's happened around the state or throughout the nation. I've heard of different things happening where people are doing things. We need to make sure we're transparent and we can talk back and forth freely without a mechanical device impeding our process. Again, I'm just throwing it out there as not as to foo-foo it, but I certainly would like to move forward with technology if we can do it in a transparent and a safe medium.
Well, how about, we just asked Michelle to throw a little extra work on her, because it's gonna take some time to scan all these into a document then that can be placed on an electronic media.
Well, she actually already scanned them, right?
Let's back the train up here a little bit,
Yeah, sorry.
okay? Let's back the train up, because maybe I'm defending you here, Michelle, but I think you do a lot of work already.
Well, if you just let me speak, I'll clear all of this up in
Hang
like.
on, well, just let me talk first, okay?
You
All
go
right.
for it.
I'm not opposed to Ken and Dave, what you're talking about doing, because I think, yeah, we need to be in the 21st century, or maybe even the 22nd century. But anyway, I think since you guys are the advocates of this, I'd like to see the both of you take charge of this thing. I don't think it's going to cost a lot of money, but yes, David's point, with you got this money, we could spend some of it. But Julie's on board as our new executive secretary right now, and she's going to be the one that I think is going to ramrod the thing. So I'd like to have her included in this thing, because she's the one that's going to have to prepare it. Am I correct? Don't expect the clerk's office to do it, although you help out 110% all the time. That's just my thoughts, but I'm here to hear what you've got to say.
So what you just said was Michelle and Julie are going to work together, come up with an idea, present it to David and Ken, and then present it and approve it for the board.
Correct.
I just heard. Okay.
You okay with that, Michelle?
Okay, but so anyhow, I did send out an email yesterday to the county clerks in the state, all of them, and asked, because I know that there are some that use agenda type software programs, etc., and tablets. So for the agenda packets, so that you're not, or Julie's not standing at that copy machine for hours upon hours, not only creating the agenda packet for the agenda meetings, but then to turn around and then have to recreate it and provide it to you. One of the simplest solutions I got back yesterday was from Menominee County. They just make the agenda packets available to their commissioners on a tablet. There's no additional software, there's nothing. So that way you're able to just flip through the documents in an electronic format. You have it there in front of you. It'll be easy for you to upload. We're not gonna let you make any changes to the documents or anything, because once Julie spends all that time scanning stuff in, we don't want you to mess it up. No offense that you would, but you would.
Right.
So I'm still getting more information. There's a few different programs that I've gotten from some of the other clerks, and some of it I think might even include, like, I don't know if it generates the minutes as well for the meetings or what, but we'll still look at those, and then if there's something that we think might work, but there's a cost if we do something with some kind of software program. for the agenda. So Julie and I'll do a lot of research and look into that and let you guys know.
And when you're looking into that research, which I think is a fantastic idea, keeping the townships in mind, I'd like to see the technology be able to, whether it be our minutes or whether it be our agenda, that it automatically goes to our townships. Now, if they use it, fine. If they don't, but I think for communication, it would keep them on board with what we're doing. Maybe in turn they'll.
The minutes for the meetings on the website after you approve them. We can put them on before, but it's kind of a little bit of a process to upload them or whatever, but we can email them out after each month.
I just want you to keep that in mind, if we could somehow communicate more with them. I don't know if they'll use it or not, but I'm just saying is
Get
that.
our minutes the same way I get theirs, go to their websites.
Right. And I know the public can get that because all they got to do is they can pick up the old like resorter, but not everybody gets the resorter. So I'm just trying to be like Mr. Milburn refers to, having more transparency out there.
The kicker too, not trying to, because I like everything I heard. I like it. But remember too, once we're public again and we bring everybody back in, we're still gonna have to have paper pamphlets for the
They don't
public.
get all the correspondence. And that's what's causing your packet to be so thick, is for the amount of correspondence. They're having the actual agenda and the motions and a few other items, but they're not getting the thing that you're getting.
Because I mean, I'm a scribbler. I mean, I write all over my packet, and we'll do whatever the majority
Wait,
feels.
don't gavel yet. I still have my question.
Oh, I'm gonna add one more thing. Our website actually has an agenda application on it where you can create the agenda online. So I think it would be good to make sure you talk with Phil and Civic Plus. So if we do have anything, we could already utilize something we pay for.
There's something that somebody sent me from Civic Plus. I don't know if it's iCompass or something. I'll have to
We
look.
do have it
but-
on part of our website.
Mhm.
We just make sure those who need
Mhm.
the agenda. Who's going to tie all that together? It's just a.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So Phil, keep tuned too. All right. What else you got, Michelle?
Okay, so my question back to number 2 before you went off on your discussion as to how to spend money we don't have yet. So did you determine that you're supporting this to be run as a corporation or what? Because you never actually said how you're going to handle.
Actually, it was already passed back in 1974, so it's already on the books that they are a corporation. So at this point, it's my understanding we need to take, as a Board of Commissioners, need to take no action.
Okay, but you didn't clarify that and you just went off on this other thing. So I wanted to clarify.
That's fine. I'm just, but thank you for pointing that out. No problem. I just wanted.
I think we're just going to not refer to it as a committee anymore. We're going to refer to it as a corporation because that's what it already is.
I think we're just going to keep calling it EDC and that'll make our lives easier.
Yes.
And to tell you the truth, I think since 1974, when they sent out the information, it probably already said Economic Development Corporation on it. I don't know how it morphed into what it did. We're talking about 1974, and I didn't. That's the year I moved up here. So, all right. So, I had one other thing, but I forgot what it was, and it was nothing serious. Ken, go ahead.
Back on the computerizing, Julie already does it for me because when we're doing the agenda remotely, she sends me everything already. So she is scanning it and she already knows how to do it and can do it with what software and programs she's got now. So she has the capability to do it. And the only thing I would suggest, because I've been to other committee assignments where they do it electronically and you can view it on your iPad, I have just requested that they print the front page with the schedule so that you can, like Mark does, then as you're going, you got at least one piece of paper to mark. Yes, the front page, because when you start going down through it, then you don't know where you're at on your original and you can keep track and you don't have to constantly go back to your first page. So that would save a lot, just printing one page, and then it gives Mark something to write on too. And make it optional to start out with. The commissioners that want it and have the capability already. I've got an iPad that I've used for other committee assignments that do everything electronically. You wouldn't have to buy any equipment for me. You're already doing it, so.
Well, be careful, because if you're using it for
Yes.
county usage, it is foyable.
That's why I made the comment that the iPads would get, or whatever we would use, that would be clean, they would be secure, they wouldn't be on internet, they would just have that pertinent information, just like our packet. And then when you're done, you turn it back into
Just
Julie,
the
Julie would
agenda
scrub it,
foilable, which
it'd
is
be
already
blank,
public,
and you'd
not
read.
everything you've got on
I
your
wanna-
iPad.
Wanted internet, Mark.
Somebody were.
Uh,
You have to receive the information.
I think,
And-
Okay, my biggest concern is transparency
Commissioner
issues.
Ken Melvin.
That I say that a lot, but I really mean it. I want to make sure that there's.
one at a time here, people, one at a time.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Be the,
It should be, yes.
you can't mark them up, you can't do anything to them, it's just, and it's already publicly available.
well, that's, I think what Mark's point is that you need to be, when you're talking about transparency, and I agree with him on that, because there's things that are foiable that need to be into consideration. We have the public out there. This being our first live meeting as far as open to the public, I correct you, we are open to the public, only we have a 25-person limit. That's why we went to the hybrid. So this covers us in both respects right now, okay? So I think when Ken and Dave, when you look at this, I says, you need to keep a look at transparency and and so forth. And I have all the confidence in the world that you'll do that. There's only one reservation that I have on this thing is that, say we're all sitting here with a computer in front of us, and I've been to a number of meetings, MAC meetings and so forth, where there's a couple of commissioners that sit there and all they do is play on their computer and they're not even paying attention to what the heck's going out there. And Sean Petrie's here right now and he's nodding his head at me and it drives me nuts, but that's a personal thing. But I think there needs to be some respect given to the speaker and to pay attention. I mean, it's fine. And I don't disagree with Ken. I think it's a good idea to have the paper agenda in front of us so you can follow it, but I really have a hard time personally seeing people fiddling around and making noise and doing whatever their thing, and who knows where they're at besides on the agenda. They could be out on some site someplace. So with that, let's be back here at 5 after, okay? Thank you. Okay, good morning. Welcome to the Roscommon County Board of Commissioners meeting, May 12th, 2021. Accessible via Zoom or in person. Everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mr. Milburn, would you lead us in the pledge, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Clerk Stevenson, would you give the roll call, please?
Russo,
Present.
Melvin,
Here.
Muckenthaler,
Here.
Schneider.
Here. Okay, thank you. Item number 4, approval of the agenda, please.
Mr. Chair.
Motion was made by Commissioner Milburn, seconded by Commissioner Russo to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussions from any commissioner at this time in regards to the agenda? Hearing and seeing none, roll call.
Yes.
Muckenthaler,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Russo,
Yes.
Milburn,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, motion number 5, approval of the minutes for the meetings, regular meetings, April 14th and April 28th, 2021. And the special budget and finance meeting in the whole, April 28th, 2021.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Motion was made by Commissioner Muckenthaler, seconded by Commissioner Russo to approve the minutes of the regular meeting, April 14th, April 28th, the special meeting of April 28th. Any discussion by any commissioner at this time, please? Hearing none, roll call.
Milburn,
Yes.
Melvin,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Yes.
Muckenthaler.
Yes.
Okay, motion or item number 6, Class A claims and accounts, please.
Move to approve Class A bills in the amount of $273,224.85.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Melvin, seconded by Commissioner Muckenthaler to okay grand Class A's in the amount of $273,224.85. Any further discussion from any commissioner at this time? Hearing and seeing none, roll call.
Snyder,
Yes.
Russo,
Yes.
Milburn,
Yes.
Muckenthaler,
Yes.
Melvin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, claims and accounts.
Move to approve claims and accounts in the amount of $96,676.49.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Russo, seconded by who?
Melvin.
Commissioner Melvin. You okay claims and accounts for $96,676.49. Any discussion by any commissioner at this time, please? Hearing and seeing none, roll call.
Muckenthaler,
Yes.
Milburn,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Melvin,
Yes.
Russo.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. On to item number 7, public comment, please. I'm looking up at the screen. Do we have any public comment at this time, please?
Emil Bellenbaum, sir.
Yes, sir. Emo, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to bring you up to date on what's happening at the COA. On Friday, May the 7th, I attended a NEMSCA meeting via Microsoft Teams. At this meeting, Mr. Meehan, attorney for NEMSCA, said that he once again had meetings with Roscommon COA lawyer, Mr. DeMud, and Mr. Pettit's attorney with no resolution. Therefore, on Monday, May the 10th, he would issue a letter to the Roscommon COA to come into compliance or be cut off as of Wednesday, May the 12th. Mr. Meehan said he was aware that the Roscommon COA board has voted to proceed with the lawsuit to let a judge decide on the validity of such action. He said that after a review with the state of Michigan, that he felt good with his position. All Roscommon County taxpayers should be very concerned about this waste of valuable resources and the protection of our vulnerable senior population. I urge you to attend the next COA meeting scheduled for May the 19th at 1 p.m. via Zoom. Go to rccoa.net to sign in. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your comments, sir. Any other public comment at this time, please?
You got Leroy.
Larry.
Okay, Leroy, okay, I see you.
Hi, I
Go
just
ahead.
want to bring to the commissioner's attention, I don't know if you guys have done these hybrid meetings before where you're in the commission room and on Zoom, but you might want to have IT at least mute the audio because you guys are milling around in there and everybody can hear what you're saying to each other. And I just want, not that you said anything bad, but for your future edification, you might want to look into that.
In other words, Leroy, we need to use our mute buttons. Is that the point?
Well, I think that, I don't know that you have a mute button in the group setting that you're in, but the room does.
Leroy, I was kind of doing that in humor to saying that I agree with you with what you're saying, okay? And I think it's an excellent point that you made. And I'm looking over at Phil and I think he can handle that.
Yes, sir.
Yep, well, not talking.
Right. So I've got the green thing in front of me and if I click it, it goes to red. So I just need to pay attention to it, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, that's all I have to say.
This being our first meeting, I was going to talk about it at the end, but if there's anything anybody had for suggestions, but that's fine, okay? Anybody else out there, public comment? Okay, hearing and seeing none. On to the administrator controller, number 8, please.
Okay, lawsuit update, still no change in direction for the Azelke versus Roscommon. The Ostergen et al. Versus Roscommon County, the brief was filed yesterday by our attorney. And it's like 500 and some odd pages. So if you'd like to see it, I'd prefer not to print it all out for you. You could read it on a nice screen. The arbitration, quick update on our arbitration as well. We did have our official notice filed from the Police Officers Association of Michigan on behalf of the Sheriff's Union here locally. They will be, POAM will be assigning a labor team with that, and they are communicating directly with our labor attorney. I have no idea when an arbitration will be scheduled, so we will see. I did apply for an extension of our current Eagle permit regarding the Houghton Lake level control structure. I did submit the liability claim for the initial emergency repairs on Houghton Lake, which was roughly $4,500 that we should be reimbursed for through our insurance. The engineering bid request for proposals was completed last week, is available on our website, was sent to 4 accredited and known engineering firms in Michigan, as well as a advertisement placed in our local paper. So those things are out there. They have until the end of the month to get that back in. And then we do have the bid hearing scheduled, which would be Mr. Johnson, our new Director of Facilities and Maintenance. I would probably ask that Commissioner Russo be there as well, just because it seems like you should, and myself. And then we will come back to make a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners at the following meeting for approval. There is the audit in progress. Obviously, you walked by our auditor and said good morning. He has been here for 2 weeks now, week and a half technically. He will be finishing up, I call it the me portion of the audit this week with some small needs once he goes off site to finish up, but is doing some individual department audits as well. He will be conducting a single audit, which is based on the amount of federal funding that we received. If you receive more than $750,000 in federal funding, then you are required to have a single audit. This is the first year in at least 10 years we will have a single audit, but obviously all of the COVID funding that we received was through the federal government, just passed through from the state, so our single audit is required. High five to Tim across the board. The solid waste packet has finally been submitted to the state for final approval. I will tell you that as I submitted it, I got a bounce back from the woman that we deal with that will be the one reviewing and approving it, that she's on an extended leave of absence until the end of May, which is par for the course on this. However, they will be reviewing it on her behalf, so they'll have everything organized before she got there. So I'm pretty excited. And again, huge shout out to Vicki for all of her patience and work. So we are in the process of defining when we will be spraying for gypsy moths. I received word from Julie Crick that the intended spray date for Roscommon County will be Thursday, May 20th. So 8 days from now. And then of course it will continue until finished. Obviously rainy weather, morning winds will cause delays. We will not spray on Sunday. That is a promise. So as people last year have talked to me about, if you hear the dive bombing Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning, yes, it is gypsy moth spray. So that'll get communicated again on the radios and on the Facebook pages and through 911 in the Sheriff's Department as well.
Jody, are they anticipating it'll take 3 days?
Yes, with the amount of acreage, yes.
All right, thank you.
So quick update on our American Rescue Plan funds. So initially the intention or the thought process was that the federal government would be issuing by May 10th was the deadline. In that sneaky way that government, as it grows bigger, tends to do things, we received a web link to upload our information to request the federal funding. So I did that yesterday and went online. I will tell you that it required more than I wanted it to require of my own personal information to do that. So I had to go online and do the county information, but then they sent me a link to my cell phone, in which then I had to scan front and back of my driver's license, then submit to a stored facial recognition and supply my social security information. And I mean, everybody will have to do that applies on behalf. It's not just me, obviously. So it's quite the process to put in that request, but the request has been submitted. Our treasurer has created a separate bank account for the funds, and we will also account for that in a separate fund item as well. So when we receive that money, which who knows, honestly, when we will, and it'll be the first half, that'll be where that sits. I will tell you that there is a final rule that was released. It still isn't everything and anything you ever wanted to know about what they'll say is okay to spend the money on, but it is a 151-page document that I have not read yet. I will do that, but probably be better off at home with my feet up in my jammers, because at 151 pages, I don't want a lot of interruptions. New information is being released daily. Every time that the National Association of Counties has a update I have attended, there hasn't been a lot of changes than what we initially had. However, there was a recent announcement that the state of Michigan is considering offering matching funds for certain economic development, housing, and infrastructure programs. So yet another reason not to plan quickly on what the money is going to go towards is that type of a potential for matching up there. I am also in the process of updating 2 job descriptions, one for the Gypsy Moth lead, which will be leaning more towards a Gypsy Moth specialist type of position, to lessen some of the burden on our MSUE has taken on more than we contracted for without additional pay. So to equalize that, and then our payroll benefit administrator job description, which I pulled out about 2 weeks ago to look for something, and realized that it is so out of date that it isn't even funny. So I will update that. At that point, then we will put it forward to personnel and to the Wage and Salary Committee for review. There is also a part-time position for 911 quality assurance, quality control, that I believe we're actually going to talk about this afternoon right after this meeting. Sounds like, but then that would go from the Personnel Committee to the Wage and Salary Committee as well through that process. Julie was contacted just like 7 minutes ago by Supervisor Udi in regards to Fleiss and Vanderbrink, their engineers, being available to present the sewer project to the commissioners on Wednesday, May 26th at 9:00 a.m. Both Lyon and Garish have signed off on that authority now, so it has the ability to move forward with the process. I was able to attend the Michigan virtual legislation issues 2 weeks ago. Virtually, it lacked a lot of what you would want to see in person, I think. However, I will tell you that they continuously cautioned on several issues in regards to the American Rescue Plan funding. They noted that there are several federal bills in the process that will expand broadband grants to rural areas, suggesting that you really do your research on those and not spend your American Rescue funds on something that will 2 years from now have funding available. So that was one of the big things. They said, make sure you're really doing your research with every individual project and ensuring that you're not spending funding in a manner that can be funded in another way. They also suggested that you consider increasing your community participation in planning, be it a survey, more open meetings, suggestions that people email in what they feel are, some of those areas of opportunity. They also suggested sitting down and truly reviewing your strategic plans and adapting your spending to that, which I think is something that you guys have already been discussing. And then making sure that all of the decisions are as transparent as possible with plans available and online to the public. 2 more small things for you. I had a conversation with the commissioner the other day, and we were discussing how you can't keep up with CDC regulations and things. So one of the things I just wanted to make you aware of, and this is for fully vaccinated individuals only, so you may see this as you come around to the county for those that are fully vaccinated. The CDC has says that it is fine now to visit with other fully vaccinated people indoors without wearing a mask or staying 6 feet apart. You also are able to visit with unvaccinated people without wearing a mask or staying 6 feet apart if you're in one household. In this type of situation, no mask, stay 6 feet apart. They do want you to refrain. You can also refrain from quarantine and testing if you do not have symptoms of COVID-19 after contact with someone who has COVID-19. So those are some of the things that you'll kind of be seeing some changes around here. And then finally, I really and truly believe that the property exchange agreement for the Blodgett Memorial Airport Runway 36 approach obstruction mitigation project, that's a lot, will be signed by May 31st. I will tell you that if we get to that point where that agreement cannot be signed by May 31st, then yes, we will have to go forward with an application easement. It is not what anyone, it's not anybody's first choice, but it is a second choice so that our airport is able to continue and receive funding from the FAA. So that's 2 weeks in a nutshell. Ish.
Okay. Any commissioners have any questions in regards to the controller's report, please?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to thank everyone for all their work and this process that we've done that in regard to the airport. It's been an arduous process, but I believe that all parties at hand will be pleased with the outcome, and I think it benefits the citizens and the airport of our county. And I appreciate the comment in regard to the transparency issue. And also, I'm kind of a simple kind of guy. I hope that nobody makes a comment in regard to that, but I like a pie shape. If we can put up a pie shape on a wall and we know where the money's going to go, it's so much easier to be able to look at a pie shape and go, we're going to put money to veterans, or we're going to put money to road projects or sheriff's department or IT or wherever we're going to put it. I didn't point those out specifically because that's where I'm going to put my money, or the county's money, or the CARES money. But I think if we have a pie shape out there, it'll be easy to look at. And I think it's important too when we ask citizens if they don't necessarily want to email us, they can always suggest, maybe they can write a letter to us and say, I know it's old school, but my name is such and such, and I would prefer that we put some money, because I think it's important that we reach out to the average citizen who may have some really good ideas. I mean, I see Mr. Johnson on the internet, and he and I worked together for years and years. He's my old boss, just for disclaimer. But the bottom line is he's got always a lot of good ideas, and I think there's some people out there that can really give us some good ideas on where to spend this money. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Well, I agree with it that there needs to be a list, but this is kind of like, and I've said this before, in the 14 years I've been commissioner, we've never had be blessed with money like this, but it always comes with a caveat in it and how you spend it. So we need to develop a strategic plan on how we want to do this. So I want to make sure, I agree. This is why I was reaching out to the elected officials, be it the clerk's office, the treasurer's office, or the sheriff, that we find out what we have to do, or be it a parking lot. There's the first year we're looking at approximately $2.4 million that we're going to have to spend. And personally, I want to spend it all on Roscommon County in a meaningful way, so to impact as many people as we can. So anybody else in regards to Jody's report, please? Okay, on to correspondence. Item A, we've got some correspondence, a letter of interest from the Michigan Medical Examiners Group. We already have a medical examiner out of, I believe it's Flint, Dr. Hunter, who's doing us a fantastic job, and we're under contract with him. So at this particular time, we'll keep this on file for when we go to bids for the medical examiner, okay? Item B, American City and County Government update. It's just an update, and that is about, 6 pages long? Yep, 6 pages long in regards to government update. For your reading pleasure. Item C, National Association of Counties, which is NACO, and talking about resources in regards to coronaviruses for counties. That's item C. Item D, Michigan government Haley Hildebrand. Apparently, I believe this comes through the governor's office, if I read it correctly. It's in regards to the J&J vaccine update. So item E is rethinking homelessness. That's from, I guess it's an organization called Rethinking Homelessness, just exactly what it says. So talking about, they're referring to the stimulus money that could possibly solve homelessness, which is, we're talking about housing, which we've been talking about today. Item F is a Bay County, copy of a Bay County resolution in regard to their support for 4-year terms for Board of Commissioners. Item G is National Association of Counties again, just a newsletter in regards to what counties are doing, what they're doing, and call that work. Item H, a DEQ public notice in regards to something to do with inland streams, inland lakes and streams. Apparently, is this a seawall?
That's what.
Okay, in Markey Township. So we got notified like we usually do, along with a whole list of other people. And geez, we got a map of the whole thing too. Item I, U.S. Department of Homeland Security in regards to the new IDs has been extended until, and I looked at the date, somebody spots it before I do, I believe it's not until 2023, am I correct? Okay. Item K is Iron County Board of Commissioners, a resolution in regards to the support of the release of federal COVID funds. Item L, Iron County, also a resolution in regards to management of wolves in northern Michigan. So that's something that pertains to the UP. And that's rather lengthy. Item M, Berrien County Board of Commissioners resolution in regards to, doesn't really say, does it? Whereas the state of Michigan faces a recession, they would like to create ways to save money in the state's general fund. I guess it's in regards to the general fund and how property taxes are collected. Full revenue sharing. Okay, thank you. Item N, Huron County resolution in regards to the same thing, property tax collection shift, looking at county revenue sharing. One of the things that Huron County did, I don't know if did everybody get the list of the counties?
Yes.
And when you look at Roscommon County, Jody can correct me if I'm wrong, but we've got our revenue sharing for 2021 is $765,000.
That is the.
Or is that just? That's what? That's our shortfall.
So that is actually going to be, yeah, so we were actually, should have 765,0501, but we got 507,560.
Okay.
Which is typical of what happened.
Right, okay, all right, so that's just a shortfall, all right. Any commissioners have any questions in regard to correspondence, please? Okay, hearing or seeing none, on to monthly department reports. Dispatch from our director, Vance Stringham. Nice report, thank you, Vance. Road patrol from the sheriff's department, along with the village activity. MSU extension report from Julie Darden. And Julie, are you out there by any chance?
I am. Hello.
Could you personally contact me by telephone later on this morning, please? Probably about 11 or 11:15.
I have a meeting at 11, but I will do my best to get in touch with you today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. So they kill two birds with one stone there, gentlemen. And economic development, a director's report from Brenda Batchelder, who is our person our part-time person from Michigan works right now in regards to economic development. So any commissioners have any questions or comments in regards to the department monthly reports? Hearing or seeing none. Item number 11, under visitors. We've got Sean Petrie here from the Core Intermediate School District. And he's here to, I know everybody knows Sean, everybody in the room knows Sean. Yep. We ought to by now, shouldn't we, Sean?
Sure.
But anyway, it was his option. I did extend the invitation to him to show up in person, or he could have come as far as Zoom, but I thought it'd be appropriate since his name is under a motion to be approved for the economic development. So thank you, Sean, for coming. Okay, anything to add?
No, it's, I enjoy going out.
Okay, all right. Item number 12, unfinished or new business. Any commissioner have anything unfinished or new they'd like to talk about at this time? Want everybody jump in at once. Okay, nobody? All right. Item number 13, Michelle, motions and resolution, please.
Move to appoint Wendy Engel to the Roscommon County Economic Development Corporation for a 3-year term beginning May 12, 2021 through May 11, 2024.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Russo, seconded by Commissioner Muckenthaler to appoint Wendy Engel to the Roscommon County Economic Development Committee. Oh, excuse me, corporation. We should make that correction.
I did when I read it.
I wasn't listening, sorry. Okay, any further discussion from any commissioners at this time? Hearing and seeing none, roll call.
Melvin.
Yes.
Milburn.
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Muckenthaler.
Yes.
Russo.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, motion number 2, please.
Move to appoint Sean Petrie to the Roscommon County Economic Development Corporation for a 3-year term beginning May 12, 2021 through May 11, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Melvin, seconded by Commissioner Russo. Any further discussion by any commissioner at this time? Hearing and seeing none, roll call.
Schneider.
Yes.
Muckenthaler.
Yes.
Milburn.
Yes.
Russo.
Yes.
Melvin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. You're welcome, Sean. Thank you. Just for common knowledge on that committee, that's a 15-person committee, and there's only one open spot out there, and we do have a couple. I believe the Economic Development Corporation has a couple of people that have expressed interest in it, so there'll be one more nomination coming to us, and we'll have a full board there. Okay, thank you, Michelle. Committee reports. Commissioner Russo.
I attended the airport meeting, 911 authority board meeting, claims and accounts. Lakes almost 4 inches over summer level. We're gaining water.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
Tim Muckenthaler. On May 3rd, I attended a NMRE Zoom meeting, at which time during the meeting we were talking about PA funds because that's what they do. And we have roughly $430,000 available in PA2 funds for the county. This can be used for substance abuse, drug rehab. They mentioned that we could possibly or should talk to the sheriff's department and a prosecuting attorney and stuff like that to see if they can come up with plans to help utilize these funds. They got prevention. There's called FAN, which is Families Against Narcotics. They've had money allocated to those in different counties. So this is something that we can talk to these other people about. And then on the 7th, I had an MCOG meeting, virtual meeting. Yesterday we had claims and accounts, and we had a meeting with a few other individuals about EDC. That's it.
All right, that, those liquor funds that you're talking about, is there under sheriff still out there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you hear what Commissioner Muckenthaler said in regards to narcotics, what was it? PA2 funds?
I did, and I was happy to meet with somebody who referenced that. I would probably bring in Deputy Pellerin, who's on sobriety court boards and is very active in those sorts of realms. But if there's a meeting coming up, I'll be happy to attend.
Well, I don't know if there's a meeting coming up. From what I picked up from Commissioner Muckenthaler is we got $400-some thousand we can spend. But it's only on certain things, and it sounds like a lot of it's earmarked through the sheriff's department. Am I correct?
Well, it's for substance abuse. They can buy the anti-rejection drug or whatever it is. Yeah, they can get that. But NMRE, which is the Northern Michigan Regional Entity, and you not present, but submit a claim, or what, not a claim, but a petition for the money. And at the next meetings, whatever petitions they have, we vote on whether to accept them or, whatever, or ask for more information. And they allocate the money for these projects, how that system works.
Okay.
Mr. Muckenthaler, do you have any paperwork on what qualifies for those funds and what does not? Is there anything you could provide me with as kind of a guide?
Yeah, I can get hold of you, and I can give you information to get hold of the Northern Michigan Regional Entity.
Okay.
And they said that they would also help us, walk us through the application process. But I'll get hold of you sometime.
Sounds good.
And under Sheriff, Mr. Muckenthaler, I asked him to talk about this today, but he's going to give me his packet here and I'm going to go through it. So I will be happy to share that with you and get you some information. So if you can't hook up with him, you can hook up with me. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it. Okay. Who's down to 2? Who wants to go next? Mr. Melvin.
I had the agenda meeting with Bob, Jody, and Michelle Thursday. I'd just like to remind the rest of the board, I know David has contacted me recently about an item he wanted placed on the agenda, and that was taken care of. And so Tim or Mark, make sure you have my contact information, or Bob, so that anytime you have something you want to be placed on the agenda, contact us before Thursday, please, and let us know, and we'll be happy to oblige. Don't, I don't know, I don't think you're supposed to contact Jody or Michelle. I think you should be contacting either Bob or me. So feel free to contact us if there's something you want.
Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you. That's it.
That's it? Man, that was short. Mr. Melbourne. Airport, and that was it. That's even shorter. That's the shortest one yet. As far as the chairman is concerned, Ken referred to the agenda meeting, but at the same time, Julie was present at our meeting. And I believe Teresa was too. So at our agenda meeting. So, and then Tim alluded to it. Yes, we did. Tim and I are with along because he's the chair, or he works on the MCOG. We met with an entity yesterday and trying to get this thing, and we're going to continue to work with Michigan Works to hopefully come up with somebody, not Michigan Works, MSU or Michigan Works, I guess would be at this point, is that we can come up with a full-time economic development. There was a number of directions that we can go, but it'll be up to that corporation to decide how it's going to be. So, so from now on, it's officially the Roscommon County Economic Development Corporation. All right, and for I don't have any problem putting it out there for a public thing, but I am leaving this afternoon to go to St. Louis, Missouri to my oldest grandson's graduation from high school. So I will be back in town the first of next week. All right. Anybody else have anything they want to add? Committee reports. Okay, item number 15, public comment, please. Any further comment from anyone at this time? Michelle?
Yesterday was the filing deadline for everything for the August election. And as I had mentioned before, we are going to have an August election, and it will be Nestor Township and Sable Township. They both have millage proposals. So I'm actually very excited about this opportunity because they're both new clerks. So it's going to give us a chance to work with them and help them get some election experience under their belts before we run into our gubernatorial election year next year. Yes. Yep. So it'll be very small.
Speaking of new, because we hired Julie away from Michelle's office, Michelle has a new
employee.
Yes, a new employee. So I invite you guys to introduce yourself.
Yes.
Okay,
Vicky, she's hanging out down there.
okay, all right. Any other public comment from anybody out there, please? Make sure I get everything covered here. Okay, hearing or seeing none.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Oh, no, hold it, back the adjournment up. I wanted to thank everybody for showing up for the meeting in person today. I thought for being our first hybrid meeting, that went very well. I do appreciate what Mr. Johnson had to say in regards to helping us out on how to run a hybrid meeting. I think it went pretty good. I don't know what everybody's feelings are. I know we changed our room around here. I'm a little bit more comfortable with it than I have been in the past, but if anybody has anything good or bad to say about it, please get that to us, because if this format doesn't work, we may be able to go to a different format, but I do think the hybrid worked out very well today, so thank you very much. So with that, I'm going to item 16, adjournment.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Motion is made by Mr. Milburn, seconded by Commissioner Russo.
Aye.
All in favor, say by saying aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody.